Wow, that's so clean. Let's see if you can
Yes. Survivor Specialist Phil and Alexa are back, and we have our episode 10 and 11 recap. Are we calling it 10 and 11? Just 10 in the description here. 10 and 11, 10, whatever you want to call it. Alex gone, Carl's gone, the Godfather, which he was called at least 47 times tonight. I don't know why all of a sudden that came out of nowhere. Hadn't heard him be called the Godfather the entire season, and then we had a bunch of cross-cutting of Carl being the Godfather. But I definitely think that episode 1 was the better of the two halves here because it just felt like Carl had to go home in that second half. I felt like it was coming, and there was something missing, and I texted Alexa this. Maybe I have a man crush going. But once Alec went home, it just felt like something was missing. It almost felt like nobody's going to flip anymore, or if they are going to flip, which they do end up flipping, it just felt like there was something missing because it wasn't the aggressive type of flip that Alec would have done. Like, Alec was so slimy. And I mean that in the best way.
But did it in the smoothest way.
Yeah, like, he was so slimy, but in such a great way. And clearly everybody out there loved this. And he was so good at what he was doing that, yes, I'm proud of Gabby for making this move, and I'm proud of Mike White, and I'm proud of Christian. But it just was lacking something that Alec brought. So maybe I have a little bit of a man crush, but for me, the second half felt a little bit like a letdown compared to the first half, where Alec and Christian's immunity challenge was probably the second greatest immunity challenge of all time behind just Ian and Tom. That was absolutely epic, and you could see Alec was about to pass out. The eyes rolling back, kind of couldn't focus on anything. And I felt for him because it's the same that happened to Joe Englund. Your body just can't take it anymore, and goodbye. That's just what happens.
Mm-hmm. I think what Alec had that we're not seeing is, I guess the only other person I can compare Alec's character to is Davey, because this is now becoming very strategy heavy, obviously, because there's only 8 people left. But Alec always had like a kind of boyish attitude about it, which I think was so relatable as a viewer, because he just seemed like a guy who was having a ton of fun. And I think that's kind of like what Wu was like in Kagyan when he was like jumping up and down in the rain. He was like, this is Survivor, this is so cool. Alec had that same aura to him while still being a strategic player. And so I think with that vibe being gone, this is becoming very strategy heavy. And again, this is going to happen because there are not as many people left. But I think that could have something to do with it. I really liked the second half. I was having a meltdown because I am very biased towards Allison, and I really did not think that Mike was going to go with them. But I did like it because it finally became David versus Goliath, it was not David versus Goliath anymore. And Allison at the very beginning is like, okay, we've been trying to do this for 5 votes now, Gabby. Like, let's make it happen. And they finally did. Like, Gabby got her moment. Allison got a bit of a moment. Mike, I feel like isn't going to get any credit for this when I don't think people realize how vital he was to this move. But I liked it. I thought that immunity challenge, you're right. I texted you. We could talk about that immunity challenge for this entire podcast, and that could fill enough time. And then that reward win in the second half was one of the best rewards I've watched in
the actual reward you're talking about.
Yes, enjoying the reward. And it's probably because we never even get people enjoying the reward, but that was just
hilarious.
So old school. It was so awesome. This episode was so good. And you're right, this whole like Carl being the Godfather thing kind of came out of nowhere, but this is sort of what Phil and I were talking about when we were doing our predictions for this on Saturday or whenever we talked last. These episodes are kind of for these longer storylines, and I didn't think Carl was going to go home because Carl had a watch party tonight, and I just assumed you would never watch party when he got voted out. But he was a total champ about being voted out. Like, in his last words, he seems to not harbor any resentment. He was like, they got me. He compared Survivor to driving trucks like 4 times in the episode, which I didn't think was possible, but he did it quite seamlessly. But he was a really good character this in these past 2 hours, this past episode. So it was a good end to his arc, and a kind of odd one because we didn't see it coming so much, but he was fun.
Yeah, and I think that that's something about this season where there's not a true villain, and that's why somebody like Carl is being played up as a villain. Angelina was played up as a villain for a couple of episodes, but I don't think any of these people are inherently bad or inherently evil or trying to cause any problems. I'm sure Carl doesn't even know why he got voted out, probably because he doesn't remember anything that he said. So how could he get voted out if he never said anything? But I just think that this is showing, like, Carl gets voted out and doesn't put up any type of fit at all. Just says, good job, you guys got me. And they did the little ding ding, and I don't think he really took any offense to that. He was just like, you got me. I did the same thing, and now you guys are doing it to me, and I deserve this. And he even said it. He let his guard down, and then he goes home. And he was confident the entire episode, and it was clear that Carl was going to go at some point tonight. So I wasn't worried really at all for Allison. I figured Allison was going to make it out fine. I figured she was going to make it out unscathed once she made it past the first one. I just thought that Carl was actually going to go in that first episode. It was the right move to get rid of Alec, though, because Alec is just way too threatening. I really like Alec. I loved him. I wish he would have played again. I wish he didn't go and do something so stupid. And it's a shame because everybody liked him. Jeff clearly liked him at the time. And it seemed like he was definitely a favorite. He put 5.5 hours into that last challenge, and yeah, he lost, but 5.5 hours into a challenge. And for him to go like that and to know what happens afterward, it's just a shame. It really sucks. It's a shame for him. And because, he said in his confessional, I don't want to just be that guy. And I don't think he would have just been that guy. I think that Alec was a fan favorite. A lot of people were enjoying watching him play. And he really ruined any chance he had of coming back for a second time. And yeah, he goes out at the first half of this episode, and the second half, it was just building to Carl, especially since Gabby was the one being left out. And if there's one thing that we've said all season, Angelina has been wrong. Gabby and Christian have been right. And Angelina joining up and being like, we're definitely getting rid of Allison. And Gabby saying, we're getting rid of Carl. It's like, which way this is going, because Angelina just cannot be right this season. And Gabby and Christian just cannot be wrong.
Yeah, you bring up a good point with that. I didn't consider that when I was watching. I think I was too nervous about Mike because I was like, I just didn't think that Mike had any reason to not vote for Allison. I don't know, but that's a really good point. But I was nervous because Gabby was like, oh, I'm so excited to travel. I'm so excited to shove it in their faces. And I was like, that sounds like someone is about to be super wrong. But it worked out. Gabby's going to get a lot of attention coming up. She's got a really big episode next week, as we saw. But this was good for her because I think this was her coming out party. She's like, I'm sick of being looked at as the one who cries and the emotional young girl. And look, she got what she wanted. So good on you, Gabby. That was awesome.
Yeah, I'll say that. I'll talk about Gabby in a second. But first, I just wanted to say the editors did a really good job of hiding Mike here because, like you just said, why would he have any reason to not get rid of Allison? But the thing is, when has Mike ever been shown not working with the Goliaths? And now he's in a situation where he just gets to keep working with the Goliaths. He was never working with the Davids. So the fact that he was the swing, it made sense that he was going to end up voting that way. Angelina is probably the one he's the least close with. We haven't seen too much of Mike in recent episodes, but just based on vibes that everybody has, it feels like Angelina's probably over here while everybody else is, working together. So
Angelina has to round up all the things in camp to send over to Jeff.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But if you look at this 4 versus 4, Christian, Gabby, Allison, and Kara versus Carl, Davey, Nick, who's really the outlier here, and then Angelina, I'm not surprised at all that Mike was going to side that way. And I was thinking that the entire time that he was going to. I pretty much knew that it was going to be Carl going home. Nick will be shocked. People will have, Christian will have to go to Nick and say, look, this is why we did it. Nick will understand and Nick will survive to go further in the game. But the problem with Gabby tonight, and this is something that I wanted to talk about because this is what I was thinking. And obviously, Gabby was my preseason winner pick, and I like Gabby a lot. I know a lot of people haven't been huge on Gabby, but I love Gabby. I like how you're doing this. You timed that out perfectly. Did you do this because I mentioned Gabby? Is that why you did that?
No, it's really hot. But I'm on a mirror. I feel like people can't really read what that says.
People definitely know that says mommy. But anyway, anybody who's listening to just the audio version of this, Alexa has a mommy mug that she just held up.
I purchased for myself.
That she purchased for herself. But I was about to make a great point about Gabby. And so here's the thing. Gabby is very self-aware. She knows how she's coming across. She knows people are thinking that she's crying too much. She knows that people think she's too emotional. Carl tells her every second he gets the chance. The problem is, though, because of who Gabby is, because that's how people are perceiving Gabby right now, it is never going to change. She's not going to win this game because it's too late now. And yes, she made this move, but if she sits down with Mike or with Christian, everybody's going to say, well, yeah, you had Mike and Christian there. You weren't going to do this yourself, and which is totally untrue because her ally is the one who was on the line. Nobody else is. But I just feel like nobody's going to give Gabby the respect that she deserves for this because of what they're already perceiving her to be. So I think she's in a lot of trouble moving forward, whereas I think Christian and Mike and Allison are in a much better and Kara. Those four have a much better chance to win than Gabby, who really ultimately made the move here by voting out somebody who completely did not believe in her, and she is the reason he goes home.
What if Gabby gets rid of Christian?
It's never going to happen. But if she gets rid of Christian,
does, I think she can win.
I think then she can win. But it has to be the Sierra mom vote where it is so blatant that it was you. It needs to be known that, yes, I voted Christian out. I voted out my closest ally. That was my idea. I did this because nobody's going to give her the credit for this Carl move, which is the shame. Because Mike can spin it his way. Christian can spin it his way. Allison was on the block. I don't think Allison really has much of a chance to win right now anyway, but she was on the block. Kara was just kind of involved. But Gabby was the one who was being lied to by that entire group. They were saying, just tell her we're voting Angelina. Why they wanted to leave her out, I have no idea. The entire theme of this season is people not understanding who people's closest allies are. That is just the entire theme of this season. Why Carl is telling Christian, just tell Gabby we're voting Angelina. Do you not realize, do you not understand, is it not clicking in your head that Christian and Gabby have been day one friends, have played literally every single minute of this game together?
And he was there on day one with them. And the Kara and Alec and the Kara and Allison, and even Kara's like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah.
That was crazy. That's a good point because, like you said, Carl told Christian just don't, and I mean, it's probably because he was drunk. And Christian had a fabulous quote that was like, I'm not going to take my strategic ideas from someone who's half sloshed. And I'm really glad someone said sloshed on national television. I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, I think people just aren't aware or don't care how tight some people are with each other, which is odd.
Well, Carl was just overconfident. That's just somebody who didn't even think about it. And I don't understand though. Carl's a smart guy. And I feel like Carl could have played this game so much better than he did. I think he really dropped the ball a couple times here. And I think that if he were to play again, he would be a little more humbled. I think he got too confident in every single person. He thought he was the most likable guy out there. And so him running around telling Kara, yeah, we're going to vote for Alec. It's like, why are you telling her that? And of course, Gabby's going to be mad when you come running over. And then why are you telling Christian you're going to vote for Gabby? What? I don't understand why they felt the need to leave Gabby out. I just don't get it because
I think they thought that she was super tight with Allison, which is true, but I don't know.
But aren't you more confident that she's in the alliance with all of you that has been going on since day one? To lie to her and leave her out, all you're doing is saying, well, our David numbers mean nothing anymore.
And you're right, because that's what's so odd about this Gabby and Allison relationship. They have been wanting this for close to a month now, and it just hasn't happened for a multitude of reasons on both party sides. But Gabby and Allison at the moment, before this vote, they were close from a personal perspective because they've never voted together. They've probably always voted separately. Someone correct me if I'm wrong there. And I think it was Kara who brought this up in Tribal, and this comes up a lot where you can say you're going to vote with someone all the time, but until it actually happens, there's nothing there. It's all smoke and mirrors. So Gabby and Allison had nothing really except for just two girls who were super tight until this vote. So that's what was so weird to me, that they assumed that Gabby was closer to Allison than she was to Christian, which is maybe true, but there's no proof of that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Because by in this moment, you're saying every time you voted with us, you're still closer with somebody who has never voted with us. And what is making you believe that? And I think this is Carl. I think Carl just had a little bit of something against Gabby, and I think it finally caught up to him. You've seen Carl even earlier with Elizabeth and moments like that. I think that he gets very annoyed by certain people, and I think Gabby is just somebody he would never get along with. Remember, they were on the wrong side of the they were never working together, Carl and Gabby. I mean, from day one when Jessica goes home, that was Gabby's fault. You know what I mean? And That's how Carl's looking at it, not as that was Gabby's move. That was Gabby's fault. And that was the last time that they went to a tribal together until the merge. So for Carl, he's sitting there going, oh, this is the girl. Like, he's probably still holding that over Gabby's head saying, why did you do this? Why? Like, don't forget who she voted out. And I think that he took that very personally, and it kind of just led through for 30 days in the game, which is ridiculous, but that's what happens.
Yeah, and I completely understood Gabby's annoyance with Carl this episode, because she has been making moves and she has been as much of a part of that alliance as everyone else, but she's being left out for reasons unknown. So
yeah, exactly. And it's got to be frustrating for her, because you're trying to just make things work that this one guy just won't let you in on it, and nobody else has a problem with Gabby. It's just Carl. Like, I feel like Carl's the only one who was telling us that Gabby's whiny, Gabby's annoying, Gabby just cries all the time. And yeah, we've seen it, so it's true. But I don't feel like everybody else has had such a problem with it. And, for the benefit of the season, I am glad that Carl went home tonight, because I think that it makes for a better final 8. But at the same time, it's a great final 8. But at the same time, what we lost tonight, we lost a really likable guy and we lost a villain. And that's always tough when you lose those in the same episode, and you start to sit there and go, okay, who can win the game now? And when you really look at it, are we down to Christian, Kara, Allison, and Davey? And Nick, I'm sorry. Are we down to Christian, Nick, and Kara? Like, is that really all that's left? Because I don't think Davey can really pull it off. He hasn't really been consistent. Angelina ain't winning. Allison probably isn't winning. Gabby, what I've just said doesn't make me think that she can win. Now all of a sudden we're down to this point where it's like, okay, we have 4-on-4 right now, or what it is a 5-on-3. It's shaped up to be a 5-on-3. The 3 who aren't in power are the 3 people who will, other than Nick, so 2 of the 3 I really don't think can win, meaning Angelina and Davey. So I wouldn't be surprised if Angelina is the next one to go, and then Davey goes after that. And then your final 6 is you throw Nick in with this group of 5. Who can win out of them? Just probably Nick and Christian. I don't really see Kara being able to make an argument over Nick or Christian at the final tribal. I don't think Allison could do it. And one of them is probably going to be sitting there. I don't see a situation where it's, maybe it's Nick, Mike, would it be like Mike, Kara, and Gabby? I don't ever see that final 3 happening. Like Christian or Nick is probably getting into the final 3 at this point. And if that happens, whichever one of them gets there, I think just wins it, because I think that they just have more respect of the jury, something that unfortunately Gabby doesn't have, and I don't think Allison's going to be able to build in her remaining days.
I think if Gabby gets to the end, it's either with Christian or with Allison, both of which I think would beat her. Because I think Allison could win while sitting next to the right people, as are most of these people. I think pretty much everybody can win except for Angelina. I don't think Mike could win, even though it's a bunch of Goliaths on the jury. I don't know if they'll see it that way. So I guess there are 6 people I think could win. The reason that I think I still put Kara and Allison there is because we'll get to this in our finale predictions. I think sitting next to the right people, they can make it happen. Because exactly. Even though it's still too late, quote unquote, your girl Michelle came in a little late and she made it happen.
Yeah. But the thing with Michelle was the Aubrey edit wasn't as huge as everybody thinks it was. If you actually go and look at the numbers, and I in our predictions episode, I just read the numbers off. But Mike right now, his edit wasn't as big tonight in the first episode, but the second episode was huge. Christian's has been huge. Nick's has been pretty big throughout. He found the idol tonight. So now Christian and Nick both have idols. So I think that there's just a lot going on here. And that's the other thing. If Gabby really wants to get rid of Christian, she's not getting rid of Christian because Christian has an idol. And Christian, Gabby, I feel like is such an emotional player that maybe she tells Christian, or maybe somebody else tells Christian, and then Christian plays his idol to save himself because he has one. Nick also has one. So I'm looking at this as we're at final 8. Nick and Christian are both making your finale. It's just a matter of, is it just going to be Angelina and Davey who are the next 2 to go, which seems likely, especially Angelina, because now who is she important to? She just showed I'll go and work with the Davids. And then she ends up working with the wrong group of Davids. And before that, what was she really doing? So I think that Angelina is probably going to be going in the near future. And then you just look at this group. And I don't know, losing Alec and Carl back to back like that, things are kind of starting to take shape now. And obviously it's near the end, so they have to take shape. But it just feels like now it's gotten simple. I don't know why, but it does feel like now it almost is simple.
I don't know. I don't think it seems so simple. I think with I had an Angelina point that I'm completely blanking on.
You're welcome for me over talking.
No one needs Angelina. We've been saying that for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Angelina is still kicking. I don't know what to do with her. I think she still hangs around. Why get rid of her at this point?
There's no reason to. That's true.
Yeah. So I don't know what to do. And we, Angelina, if you're listening, hopefully you listen, because I'm sure the internet has been horrible to you. But we are like, we don't feel personally about you, so it's all good. She's been kicking around, and this is a season that, and I say this about both Gabby and Angelina because they've been getting a lot of crap this season, a lot of which I completely understand and certainly agree with here and there. This is a season people are going to look back, and people are going to watch like 5 years from now, and they're going to say, oh my God, everything that Gabby and Angelina were either crying about or complaining about, it was true. It was right. Mm-hmm. The only reason, I said that about Angelina however many weeks ago, the only reason that more people aren't getting it behind it is because they just don't like them.
Yeah.
Angelina is really doing nothing wrong. Mm-hmm. And Gabby is also understandably frustrated with everything. Like, if Angelina, I feel like, got zero traction on this whole food thing, and I think it's because no one appreciates her. And if she didn't do that, like, I know Mike was like, oh, she's siphoning everything out. How annoying is that? Like, if she didn't do that, you would not be eating. So
yeah, I think the problem is everything Angelina does feels phony. And Mike's shout out tonight to Tracy Flick is so spot on. And if anybody
I haven't seen that movie.
Yeah,
I knew you were going to I knew you were going to like nerd out with that.
I have to, because Election is a fantastic movie. Alexander Payne. It has Matthew Broderick, Reese Witherspoon plays Tracy Flick. And it's like kid Reese Witherspoon. And the thing is, in that movie, Tracy Flick is the villain. But Tracy Flick's really just trying to benefit herself. All she's trying to do is make sure she becomes class president and make sure that she becomes as good as she can be so that she can go to college and so she can do all this stuff. And she drives Matthew Broderick absolutely nuts the entire time. And that's Mike White in this show. He is so tired of listening to it. And look, I get that she decided to come to Jeff and say, listen to all this stuff, which, by the way, I don't care what you do when you're bartering with somebody or when you're trying to make a deal. You don't give up half of your camp first. That was just so much. And I get that it ended up being even more because he was like, one of you can give up your chance at immunity, which he was going to do anyway. But start that off with like, we'll give you the pots and we'll give you, whatever else, like the cooking stuff and then the fishing gear. Like, that's what we're willing to give up. Do you have anything else? And then maybe he would have still jumped all the way to somebody has to give up immunity. But she just kept going on. And I was like, oh my God, they're going to go back. There's going to be 3 sticks and a tarp. And it's going to be like everybody. But I thought that this was so spot on of Mike because that is Angelina. Like, she gets such a kick out of this stuff, and that's fine. I mean, I don't have a problem with that, but it comes across as so phony when she says, I'll sit out. It's like, you sat out of the last thing too. You sat out of the.
We need to talk about, but we'll get
like you sat out of the last immunity challenge. So is this out of the goodness of your heart, or do you just not think you can win these things? Like, you did it last time anyway to get the food and the margaritas, and now you're doing it this time to get the rice. And then everybody has a rice party, which I'm sure Jeff loved because it's like, I'm doing this rationed, stop. And they just go and feast. But I just feel like that's the problem with Angelina. Nothing ever feels sincere. And I think that this started early in the game, but it was definitely solidified with the Elizabeth moment. Since the Elizabeth moment, nobody can take her seriously and nobody will ever give her the benefit of the doubt anymore.
Yeah, I think it probably has something to do with her thinking that she couldn't win the challenges, because at least for the sitting out and eating challenge, I never for the life of me understand why people agreed to do that. But we'll get that. We'll get there in a minute. Mm-hmm. I think she said, and this, I think she was being honest with the viewers when she said this, but she was probably like, I need to build some goodwill back, because I think she was defanged. It's like the word that's a buzzword everyone's going with after the whole Elizabeth vote. And so I think she's like, this is my slow way of building back. It's going to be too little too late. But in this tribal council, she effortlessly weaves that into conversation, and no one called her out on that. Even though I texted you this, once a week, Allison and Angelina do not speak. Once a week, Allison just absolutely slaps her across the face and then retreats back and no one comments on it.
Mhm.
It's very well done.
What was the moment tonight? Because you texted me right after it happened. It was
I don't
really
know.
funny. It was
I don't
at
know.
Tribal.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to
It was the first Tribal Council. She did something, and Allison just called Angelina out and then just like vanished.
It probably had something to do with the sitting out for the food.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
The whole conversation, the whole tribal conversation was about that.
And here's my whole thing. So I've dislocated both of my shoulders. I would make that very known because that can happen at any time. So I would make that very known if I went out on the show so that if a challenge like that came up, I would say I cannot win this challenge because my shoulder is probably going to pop out of place. Like I cannot do this because as all of you know, I've dislocated both of my shoulders and standing there with my arms like that, as Alec was leaning forward, I was like, dude, it's going to pop. Don't do that. Because it's that simple. Once you've done it once, it can happen over any little thing. And so that would be my whole pitch because I would just say, look, I can go up there and I can stand there. I'm going to last 10 minutes and then I'm going to have to get down. Like I'm not going to be able to stay there. That's why I would sit out. Only in a situation like that, though. And obviously I would never win that challenge. I was going to stand up there for 5 hours. I wouldn't have outlasted Gabby. I probably wouldn't have outlasted any of those people. But the main thing would be have your built-in excuse already. Like if there's something this way, people know, okay, it's not that weird that you just sat out in this situation because you've already established I'm not going to win that. I think somebody a couple seasons ago had said that, like, I can't win this challenge. I can't do it. I think it was in Game Changer. Somebody said, I literally can't win this. So I'm going to go.
I think if you say it, I think that saves a ton of face. I am very anti like taking the food, but if in that kind of situation, that makes a lot more sense. And I think it was pretty obvious, like why Carl and Nick did it. It was just Angelina. I was really unsure and pretty surprised. But
even Nick, Carl, I'm not surprised because all he wanted was food. But Nick sitting out, it's like, dude, don't let him know you're comfortable. Don't let him know.
Nick got very comfortable in this episode. Let's talk about. We haven't even gotten his idol, but let's do this immunity challenge real quick because we're already on the subject. Phil, can you tell me something that you actively do or have done for 5.5 hours?
Oh my God.
Other than sleep or work.
I mean, when I was younger, play video games. I've gone to work once, probably.
Only once, kids.
Yeah, wait. Let's see. So I used to start work at 8:30 and my lunch was at 2. So that would be exactly 5.5 hours, right? Yeah, that's exact. So I used to do my mornings before lunch were 5.5 hours. And that was torturous. That was awful. So maybe this would have been like a reprieve because it wouldn't have been under my atrocious boss who was a monster. But, I don't know. Would
you rather, because I have heard secondhand about said atrocious boss, would you rather have 5.5 hours of this atrocious boss yelling at you or Christian describing astrophysics or whatever the hell he was talking about? It was awesome. That was so good. You see Jeff is like glazed over. Everyone is like asleep in the tiny little sliver of shade. And Alec is just like bent over like a spider. And he's just like, dude, this is so terrible. That was great. I think that had a lot to do with why he didn't win.
Great Carl moment was Christian, focus. This is helping me focus. All right, brother. And just like whatever, he's just like from under the bench. like
who said that?
Yeah, it was great. But yeah, I feel for Alec in this one. So first of all,
that was tough.
Christian looked really comfortable. And I want to go back and watch this again because everybody looked very uncomfortable. But the way Christian was standing, his elbows were really low. And it seemed like everybody else's elbows were really up high. And I don't know if that was just he did a better job of like positioning himself. But he looked like he was much more comfortable than everybody else that entire challenge. Everybody else was moving all over the place. And he was very stationary. And maybe it's just because he's smaller than Alec and he's not smaller than Gabby.
Maybe it has to do with your shoulders, because if you keep your shoulders low, it's a little more natural. And I feel like I saw Alec going like this a lot, and that puts a lot of exertion there. So that could be it.
Yeah, and so that's what I'm wondering, like, why were Alec's hands so high up while Christian's were low? I kind of want to know that. I want to rewatch that and see. But this was just an epic challenge. I loved Alec saying, I'm not going to lose. I'm not going to lose. I'm going to win this. That person's going to fall. This person's going to – like – it wasn't cocky. It was literally, I need to do this to convince myself I'm going to win this. You could tell as soon as he lost, he knew he was done. He knew he was going home, and he just walked off, and he knew there was nothing he could do about it. And I felt for him because he did. I mean, to go up there and stand there for 5.5 hours just to then know you're going to get voted out, that's brutal. And I really do believe that he was probably close to passing out. I don't think Christian was going to drop anytime soon. And I think the whole talking was probably getting in Alex's head. And I do think that he was probably very close to passing out.
Yeah, I think he was too. I have a couple more things to say about that immunity challenge, but passing out is a really good segue onto something else. So we'll get back to that. I thought it was really funny when margarita drunk Angelina and beer drunk Carl cheers to the future, and their eyes were like wobbling in their head when they did that. Thought that was hilarious. I know we don't talk about this too much, but I texted you, and I'm really into Haunting of Hill House, so I feel like I need to make this reference. The Dream Teamer who did this challenge looked like the Beck lady. Because I know they have to hide their face, so she like put her hair in front of her face, and that absolutely scared the bejesus out of me.
Yeah, I really want to know who that was. That was really funny because I was like, who is like? I don't know. It was just funny. Yeah, I'm like looking at it. Yeah, I'm looking at it, and I was just like, that does look like Bent Neck Lady. And is it possible? Like that wasn't Will for anybody who was wondering. That one.
Unfortunately, that was not Will.
That was not Will.
And then, this challenge this one looked so difficult because you couldn't even lift your foot to like shift to the weight to your toes or your heel. And I think they cut to a commercial in the middle of it, or they cut to the sky.
They just cut away, yeah.
They cut away, and you can they cut to this really good angle where you see how like contorted their bodies were. This one looked awful.
This is the one Ty won back in Korong. Ty won this back, and he was like screaming in agony for like the second half. He was like, my back, and he ended up winning it. He couldn't even move. It was crazy. So yeah, Ty won this back in Korong. It was a pretty epic challenge, but
I love these challenges. I wish they tempted them with food because I always love when they tempt each other.
Well, that's why Jeff has stopped it now, where it's you're either playing or you're eating. It's one or the other, because then people would start to wait for the food. Oh, I like that. I'll step down, and I like that more, but. It makes sense why they're doing it this way. It's so that you have to make that decision beforehand and know that once you're up there, you're not getting food. And you're just, if you drop out like Mike White did, you just have to walk over there and watch them eat and smell it and watch them drink. Watch Carl pass out underneath the bench because he's so drunk. That's what you need to watch. So
Carl was such a beautiful hot mess. Okay, speaking of Alec almost passing out, he was probably passing out because he was yarfing his brains out after that challenge or after that reward win. Along with Allison. Those two were just like two freshman college students after their first night of drinking, just puking all over that beach. That was disgusting.
Yeah.
What did they eat? Wraps?
Wraps. And this is where I wonder, like, something in those wraps wasn't right. Because
it's the romaine lettuce.
Right. Everybody was looking wild. And I know Allison and Alec were the ones stirring up, but Mike didn't look good. Christian didn't look good. And I don't know. Gabby, I don't know, but yeah,
Gabby was crying.
Exactly. I couldn't bring myself to be like, Gabby didn't look good. As you hold up the mom emo, what is wrong with you? So
it's bad timing.
Yeah, bad timing. As you purposely face the little saying, but yeah, everybody was looking rough, and I think that there might have been something bad in there. I think that it might have been sitting out a little bit, and oof. I mean, that's brutal though when you get sick like that, and then you're stuck, and what do you do? And Alec went up there to still. It was Alec and Christian, and they both ate the wraps, you know? So that was pretty wild. I liked that first challenge a lot more than I liked the second set of challenges. I thought that first one was really good. The 5-on-5 also was not fair at all, and I know it was a very short amount of the challenge, but it was not fair at all where Orange started. They started with the water up to their necks, while Purple started with the water up to their ankles. So, like, because they did it like one team was so much closer to the shore. That was insanely unfair. Orange ends up winning anyway because that was the least part of the challenge. But Allison really struggled on that rope course, which I was really surprised at. But I liked that. I liked how fast Christian moved. And I liked Alec just tossing poles.
So what's the right move here? Do you make small steps or do you take the wide steps? Because Alec was saying do the wide steps, but I would think kind of scooch along.
You want to do – I don't know if you've ever done a ropes course. Have you ever done a ropes course?
I think in like middle school.
Oh, yeah, so you weren't good. Yeah. So they probably had you on the baby one. So, you know, I've done a ropes course in my day. But the way that – the easiest way to get across that is you stand on it sideways and you slide the 1 foot out and then catch up to it. And slide the 1 foot out and catch up to it. Slide the 1 foot out and catch up. So you're kind of shimmying and you're pulling yourself as you go. So like when you're in your wider stance, where you have a little bit more balance. That's when you reach out and pull the other one. Allison's
That's a
tall.
tough one.
I think that's what hurt her, is that she's
The
tall.
gangle just got in the way.
So I think that's why she had a harder time with this. But yeah, Alec makes the epic comeback, and they win. Carl once again doesn't get. We were not able to see drunk Carl, which was a shame. But then we got to see plenty of drunk Carl in the second episode, which is always great. So yeah, I thought the first set of challenges were better. That immunity challenge, we haven't talked about it yet, but they never do tribal council the day after the challenge, and that definitely went on a lot longer than anybody anticipated. The sun was setting. They wanted everybody to be able to go back to camp and talk it out. So I would be willing to bet that they definitely moved tribal council from night 27 to night 28 because of how long that challenge went on for.
And Christian even said it too in that exit confessional. He was like, "We've got a long time, and things always change. A long time," which obviously didn't end up happening, but that probably helps too. It creates a lot more drama because there's a lot more sitting around changing your vote kind of conversations.
Exactly. And then, Alec goes home. This wasn't that shocking. It wasn't that crazy. I was hoping that Alec would have had a little bit more play here because he seemed like he was always in the middle. He seemed like he was somebody who could always make a move at any time that he wanted, and it's a shame that he wasn't able to pull it out. He really had no leverage, which is a bummer because he was really fun to watch on this season, and this is the only time we're ever going to see him, so it's a bummer.
This is the last time we will ever see him on the screen, except for when he's on the jury, I guess. But
he came in and did the...
Yeah, but I didn't want to talk about it anymore. We keep talking about the external thing. Let's go to, speaking of Alec puking, which reminds me of Allison puking, which reminds me of the night that Allison puked. Let's talk about Nick's idol find. And you inspired me last week, Phil. I live tweeted a bit of this episode. Live tweeting is so fun. And
you were tweeted, almost as good as me. Almost.
Thank you so much. Well, I wasn't drunk. So.
That's true.
Oh, sorry.
I wasn't either, I swear. Okay, good.
You see, it was such a good cut because everyone is sleeping, and then every person who's ever thrown up has experienced this. Allison just jerks up, and she's like, "I gotta go," and she just sprints off right as Nick is leaving. And I was like, the only way that this would be better is if Nick comes back and Allison is just tossing her cookies everywhere. And she's like, "Wait a minute, where did you come from?" But worked out well. I love the leave in the middle of the night. Absolutely hate that it was just on a stick for him to pick up. I will never, ever like that, but I like the leave in the middle of the night. That's what I got to say.
Yeah, I wonder. So what? Ghost Island didn't air until last fall, last spring, which is when they were shooting this. So I wonder if now that they've seen how well the community reacted to Chris, if they'll start to implement that into 38 and possibly later seasons. 37 might have been too new. They might not have wanted to have it happen in back-to-back seasons. Give Ghost Island its due, and then have this come back a season or two later. And yeah, this reminded me of the Jeremy one, except it was a little bit more exciting than the Jeremy one. But you knew Nick was going to get this the entire time, which is a bummer. You knew it was just going to happen, and there's no drama around it. Make him play a game. Make him do exactly what Chris did.
Put him in the challenges. Put him in tribal council. That'd be awesome.
Exactly. Give me anything else. This was kind of lame, but Davey knows. Davey and Nick are a lot closer than we might have thought, but how much can Nick really save Davey at this point? And Davey doesn't have an idol anymore or his closest ally. So I think Davey's in a little bit of trouble. And by a little bit, I mean, I think Davey's going to just miss the finale.
I think Davey and Nick together are okay, though, because I think they're kind of stuck together now because Christian and Nick voted separately. And so I think they're they're not all they have, but in a sense, they kind of are. Because you have Gabby and Christian versus Davey and Nick. And to your point, they hunted for that idol together, and Nick immediately showed him that clue. And obviously, Davey couldn't be the one to go get it. But if I was Nick or Davey, I wouldn't want to be hunting with somebody. But the whole point of the season has been kind of sharing advantages with each other, so I get why they did that. Yeah,
and you know what? When it's worked as well as it has, why not? You need somebody to look out for you too, because that just makes it easier. I mean, they're all in a really tough situation when you have to go at night, and since Nick found it with Davey, got to keep Davey in it somehow, and Davey was all about it. So I was a fan of it.
Yeah, I like that. I'm trying to think of that's kind of about it. For that. Yeah, I like the running off night. I hate that it was just there, but where I feel like we're in too deep on idols being easy to find. So I don't know what complaining will do about it.
Yeah, and this season's been really good with how they've handled idols, so this one's kind of a bummer.
Mm-hmm. They handled, this is not relevant whatsoever, but they had a really cool confessional with Carl, I think right after the reward challenge, while everyone was eating the E. coli romaine lettuce. He had the voiceover of like, I'm so hungry, this is so hard, I've been here for 29 days or whatever. And then it cut to him, and then he started talking, like his physical self and not the voiceover. And you see him crying. I thought that was really well done. I really liked that.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool too. We didn't talk about the letters.
Oh my God.
We didn't talk about the letters, and you tweeted that you were crying. Good thing you said it was you, because it wasn't.
Was crying. As soon as people say like letters, I absolutely lose it. So those are really nice. And I think the best tweet that I put out was like something along the lines of like, when you tell people there's going to be an auction and there wasn't, Christian was holding his letter, not an auction wallet. We're really sorry. We got everyone pumped up, but let's blame it on Reddit because that's where I got the idea from.
Yeah. Moving on. Yeah, I thought that was cool though. It's always interesting when you get those letters. Everybody bonds a little bit over that, and you know, you got Alec go down the beach, and I thought they did a really good job this time with the letters, where everybody got their moment. And a lot of times they don't jump around between everybody. And I thought they did a good job this time of jumping around and letting everybody have their moment. Curious to see what's going to happen next week with the family visit, because I want to see some of these crazy families. I want to see who Christian has come running out of the woods, and I want to see who Davey has come running out of the woods. You know, I want to see Davey. That's what I'm excited for.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess like we're at a point in Survivor where they don't say like, oh, I really miss my mom or my brother or my wife or whatever. But I feel like it's mostly young-ish people back. Someone tweeted to us that Mike's dad is going to come, because I think his dad was his partner on Amazing Race, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Past that, I don't think there's any like major significant others. It's probably parents, probably siblings, or a robot for Christian. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, we don't have a Joe Anglin this time.
No. Oh, hopefully Gabby's mom, because Gabby's mom seems really funny. Did you see she was Gabby for Halloween?
Yeah, I did see that. Maybe she'll come running out sobbing, and then we can all just be like, oh, it makes so much sense.
They won't be able to talk. They'll just cry.
They'll just be crying the entire time.
It would be so funny. And probably
yeah, no, I'm trying to think. So then the second episode happens, and you were worried about Allison. That's because you picked her to win.
Yeah.
To me, there was never any doubt it was going to be Carl, and I still thought it was done in an interesting way, and I still enjoyed it. But to me, it was just so obvious that it was going to be Carl that I just couldn't get that out of my head.
I think if I didn't know that Carl, or I guess this didn't even matter, but as soon as I saw that Carl had a watch party, I was like, oh, well, bye, Allison. But I know like someone last season had a watch party and they still went home. So I guess that's not anything to base off of. But you're right, because like these episodes, these tie in longer storylines, and the entire storyline was that Carl was the Godfather. So it wouldn't make sense for him to have lasted another episode for him to just go home in like a standalone next week. So looking back, like it was extremely obvious that it was going to be him. I think I also just didn't trust Mike. But I don't know. It worked out fine for him. Let's see other things I wrote down. But let's talk about this reward, because that was awesome.
Yeah. So this reward where Davey and Carl, they must have blacked out. I mean, Carl was that ending shot of Carl laying on his side, sipping the beer like it was a baby bottle, is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I loved it.
It was so good. And I texted you this. I forget what it's called, but everyone's got that friend when they're like with a group at the bar, and that friend being me, I do this all the time. Everyone's holding like a Bud bottle, and you just whack them on the top, and it starts foaming up. As soon as Kara did that to Carl, I was like, this girl is playing him so well. She doesn't even have to try, because he's wasted in telling her all of his plans. And this is one of those like, what is it? Like armchair. I'm like being a backseat driver. I'm not saying this correctly, but I'm sitting here saying I would never drink if I won a Survivor.
Monday morning quarterback.
No, because I'm about to criticize Carl for something that I would probably do if I was in a situation. So I'm like,
but isn't that kind of like what a Monday morning quarterback? It's like the guy who says on Monday, like, this is what the quarterback did wrong, when like, yeah, it's easy to say now. Like if you were out there, you would definitely do it. I don't know. Maybe it's that.
Yeah, pretty much what I'm saying is if I'm on Survivor, I can't imagine that I would have more than like one beer or one glass of wine because I don't like getting blacked out in front of my friends, let alone like 8 million strangers who are watching me on TV.
Yeah.
But
I like going
certainly
to
good
defensive
TV.
when I'm that drunk, so it's bad. You know, I mean, we'll ask intern, but I'm sure that if I got as drunk as Carl, on the show, I think intern can vouch that it would be great TV.
It would be certainly good TV.
But yeah, I think about the next day, and Carl's laying in his hammock and all that. But when you're not eating and you're not drinking water, how bad must you feel the next day? Like you have to feel terrible. Like that's never going to go away.
The only way that I can get rid of a hangover is a crisp can of Coca-Cola and the greasiest burrito I can find.
Yeah,
Survivor.
And he's not eating anything. He's just sitting there and like, I don't know. I could never do it.
Eating all of Angelina's rice.
Yeah, I just think about the hangover the next day and how crappy I would feel. And no, I don't want that. But this was a really funny reward, and I thought it was funny how Kara and Mike were talking about how they're going to work with Carl and Davey. And Carl was just so adamant that he was never going to work with them that they were just like, all right, fine, Carl's gone. Good. Yeah, they were willing to make the move. And, this whole season has been setting up for people who are willing to make the move. And finally, we have people who are willing to make the move. We had Allison make the move tonight, Gabby, Christian, Mike White. These are the people who we've been told are going to make a move at some point. And, we've had these great tribal councils previous to this week with Davey and Carl making humongous moves and all that. But Davey and Carl were never really set up to be these late game players. They were always set up to be the supporting cast to the main stars of this show, which are Nick and Gabby and Christian and, Kara to some extent and Mike White to some other, a little bit smaller extent. But, it was never going to be Carl who was going to be sitting at that final tribal council. And I still don't think that it's ever going to be Davey. But they've had their great moments. But tonight when the big move hits, now the end game is in motion. Now it's everything that we've been being told for weeks, like Allison said tonight. For 5 straight times we've been saying this, and now it's actually the timing is right. This is going to work, and it did. It did work. So, yeah,
it did. And I think this reward happened right when you texted me. Something feels like it's missing without Alec, and I think like the breakout of like the 2 different quote unquote tribes for this challenge was like the good edits versus the secondary edits. Yeah. And so I think watching that reward, I was like, well, this is super fun. And like, will probably never happen again because they're just like the secondary characters. But it was like an awesome hot mess of reward. And I can't really think of another time where I like laughed so much that like Mike, when Davey goes like, do you guys know what a black card is? And Mike just goes,
so funny.
No.
And Carl's over there. Carl is sitting next to him. I thought that was so funny because
it was so cool. It was funny, and it was like kind of a cool moment too, because it was again like it was just like these 4 people who in the game or outside of the game like were not really interacting, and they just had this like totally natural funny moment. I loved that. That was so good.
And I really loved Davey tonight in that challenge and the way he dunked and almost took down the entire thing. I mean, the producers have been sitting there going, oh no, we're about to have 10 drowned survivors here, 9 drowned survivors. I thought that was great. Him dunking, him calling himself Shaquille O'Neal. It was just all. That's the thing though. Like, you have Carl tonight and everybody sits there and probably goes, oh my God, I can't stand him. And I'm sure Gabby, even in her, I can't stand Carl, probably doesn't hate Carl nearly as much as we're led to believe. But they're all just like so fun loving. They're just so much fun to watch. And, to have them talking about it like this, and then Carl goes home and I'm sure Davey's just gonna be like, all right, whatever. Like at the reunion, it's gonna be, I'm Shaquille O'Neal, man. I don't care. And I thought that was so good. Like him saying, nobody thinks I can play sports. I can play sports. Like, yeah, I'm all in on that. I like watching that type of stuff. And I'm glad we finally got to see them go on a reward somewhere else. Although I won't lie, as they were sitting there on the boat, all I could think is that the same boat Pat like smashed his back on? Because that did not look like a comfortable boat, even though they had their little chairs. I mean, I was waiting for them to hit a wave while Carl was sitting there on top of Kara, and for Carl to just go flying off the side, and they'd be like, well, we've lost Carl. There he goes.
Phil texted me. He's like, I think I can see Pat's blood on the boat.
Yeah, it's terrible because you're just like, is that the same one?
That's a nice looking boat. There's no way that was the same one.
No, but
there were no seats on it, but that looks like a speedboat. I'm actually surprised they like pulled it up. You usually don't see that.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, you can call it a nice looking boat, but did you see a cushion on that boat? Because I didn't. And if they're all sitting
it's
around on
certainly a
that boat and
transportation.
you hit a bump and that's not gonna feel good. Yeah.
Oh man, I had a great like 7 weeks of not having thought about that.
That's how Survivor started this season, with Pat smashing his back like that. This is a crazy season, man. This is a crazy.
Pat just passed away on that boat, and now Carl passed away on that boat.
Yeah, Carl. Yeah, I think that.
And Davey falling into the water when they're
when they're carrying the beers out. Oh my god, that was so funny. They were hammered. They were getting the lazy eyes where their face was just kind of like yeah. They weren't even speaking anymore. It was great.
And if you want, like in the confessionals, Carl's eyes are kind of closed and Davey's are super open because he's really trying to focus on the camera. Oh, it was so well done.
I have to say that when everybody says, who do you want to come back from this season? There's only one person I want back from this season. It's drunk Carl. I don't want sober Carl. I just want drunk Carl.
Drunk Carl. And they all want it too. Every time when Jeff is like, there's wraps and this and beer, everyone's like, Carl.
Like, oh my God. He's probably so much fun. And is he the one who got was there like an Instagram story of him getting body slammed by John Mundo? Am I making this up?
Oh my God, really?
Did that happen? I feel like that happened. All right. Anyway, sidetracked. I just really, he needs to come out. They have to give him 3 beers like every 5 hours because, as you stop eating, you'll be fine. And that's the Carl I want back because it's so entertaining and he can't keep his tongue. And he just keeps going and going and going and going and going and going. It's just that simple. It's just that simple.
He's drunk. He's like a fun drunk. He's not like a drunk drunk.
He's a terrible Survivor drunk, though. Yeah, he's a terrible. When he keeps saying it's just that simple. It's just that simple. That is the ultimate. You like me, right? You like me, right? Like as you're drunk and the person next to you clearly doesn't want to be talking to you anymore. That was Carl, and I loved it. I can't wait to watch these 2 Ponderosas tonight. Also, since Elizabeth's vote, what's that? 4 straight men who have gone home. 4 straight
that
challenge.
Is a fine looking Jerry right now.
Yeah, I'm going to put in quotes the challenge beast because Carl always seemed to run the challenges for the Davids in his tribe, but was never really that great at them. But I'm going to say that the 4 challenge beasts after Elizabeth have been voted out.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Are we done even numbers? Is it 4 and 4 women and men? It's Kara, Allison, Gabby.
Yes, it is 4 and 4 because they were. It was like 4 women to 8 men. Yeah. At one point, now they're all gone. And David versus and 4 and 4 David versus Goliath. Oh my God, Jeff is gonna lose his mind.
Wild. What else do we have from this? I've gone through my notes. I think perspectives. Yes, I thought that Carl finding perceptions as fast as he did was pretty impressive. I mean, for somebody who might have still been half in the bag there, that was pretty fucking cool. I just said the F word, but who cares?
Oh my God. Well,
Alexa's done it before. I don't care. But now we're talking about drinking, and I'm getting all excited. So the F-bombs are going to start flying. But yeah, I thought that was really good. He found that fast because I texted you and said, I hate this challenge already because there's no point to anything before you get to perspective. And, it was. At least this was like a good word, though, and there's only so many things it could be. And I like the Nick's idea, like Victor. That seems good. Or Survivor. Well, that could be good.
Both Nick and Allison were trying to spell victory, which is like a very normal thing. When you throw in like a perspective, it's like, what?
Yeah, and the biggest mistake for Carl is that after he had perceptions, he didn't just rip every block out of there because then everybody saw it, and that was when Allison went, oh, that's what it is. And then Davey went, oh, that's what it is. And Davey just happened to be closer.
Allison is a much better loser than I could have been. She was like, oh, I was right on your tail. And I'd be like, Davey, you jerk, and you totally stole my win.
Yeah, and I won't lie, too. Everybody on this season has been a good loser. There hasn't been one bad loser. Dan getting voted out the way he did. John getting voted out the way he did. Carl tonight. Alec is getting
Natalia is wiggling her eyebrows at you right now.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, Natalia, where art thou?
Post-merge, for sure.
Natalia would have been the sour grapes of the post-merge, but that would have been so much fun. But
so good.
I just have to say, when they all came walking in, I like that the guys clearly planned to do the whatever they call this.
Hang 10? Is that
the hang 10? They all planned to do it, but I loved how when John came walking in, he was just staring straight ahead with a serious look. And then he did like the whole like turn and like mouth open and do it. Where like Dan and Alec just came in and like did it. But John was like John's ready to get back in the ring and start acting again. He's ready to get out there and get back to what he's good at because he was hamming that up and he was so pumped and the other two just kind of came in and like did it. But
I know poor Elizabeth needs like someone else to hang with.
Yeah, Elizabeth is praying that like
Kara goes home.
she's got Carl. Oh my God, poor girl. She's got to deal with Carl now.
I can't wait to watch these Ponderosas.
Yeah, her and Carl did not get along at all. So yeah, she needs a Kara or a Gabby or something like that. I don't even know.
I forget what I was going to say. But yeah, that was funny. That was good. I feel like we did a really good job of covering everything.
Look at us go.
Alec had his confessional saying that Gabby and Christian were the hottest chicks at the bar, and then Christian goes, "Oh," like for 5 seconds. Hilarious. Love
Great
that.
cut. Also, yeah, I just love that. I love like those little things. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to say to you. Gabby used perceptions.
Oh, she
in
said
the confessional before. In the confessional before voting out Carl. That's how I knew Carl was definitely going home.
I know. That was like Zeke throwing the word metamorphosis. Yeah. It's like, how did you just do that?
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what happened here. That was twisting the knife. So I love those little things though. Those are so much fun. So I like that.
Yeah, that was really good. I know if I'm a challenge designer, I just want to go like all in on these ridiculous words. And instead of doing like final 4 in the puzzle, I wanted to say like snail mail and just have them argue for 8 hours, like not figure out what it is.
Exactly. Put onomatopoeia as the word since it doesn't look like a real word anyway. Yeah, exactly. And Jeff can just stand there and keep screaming, boom, boom, boom. And then everybody will finally pick up on it and be like, yeah, but that's not how it's spelled here, Jeff. What's going on here?
Yeah, I can't spell boom. There aren't enough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Christian's thing with the eggs tonight. He has all these moments where everybody just goes, "Oh, that's really good," and like, I don't know, he's cute, so that's what's getting him by here. He keeps saying these little cute things. He's the little brother of everybody. So he gets.
I know John was funny when he was like, "They must be hungry if they keep talking about eggs."
I like Dan. That whole, was it the first one or was it the second one where he just kept on leaning over to John? I think it was the first one. He just kept on saying stuff, and I was like, Dan, watch the show, man. Watch.
I know. Yeah. Oh, when it was when Carl was like, "I haven't been on a reward." Dude's like, "Cry me a river."
Yeah.
Dude, you're eating.
Everybody's gonna cry. Yeah, exactly. Easy to say when you've eaten 10 pizzas and whatever, and you're broing out with John Mundo. It's not that hard of a life. Yeah, you can make fun of other people.
That's the dream.
John's over there going, man, I really want to be eating too right now. Why are we stuck sitting here for an hour at Tropic?
I have so many macros I need
gains. I need my gains. Yeah, so I'm excited to watch these Ponderosas though, and I'm really excited to see how the season's going to play out because although I'm fearing that it's becoming, now the end game is hitting and it's becoming a little simple, I feel like I know probably your final 6-ish. I am still excited to see how this is going to go down because I feel like there's still a lot of really good players left in the game. Davey's not done yet. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I feel like he's done, but Davey doesn't think he's done. Davey's going to think of ways, and it might never work, but he's going to think of ways. The same way Allison thought of ways. Who thought Allison would still be sitting there now after the way she started off the game and how she really didn't have that many allies? And, she's on Beach Bro Chacho and, like, not really aligning with anybody, comes back, and now she was a focal point of tonight's episode. She's been a focal point of a lot of episodes. So, yeah, I'm loving everybody. I really am. I keep saying it, but, if you're going to be a villain like Carl, like go out and just be like, dang, you guys got me. Be a villain like Dan, where it's like, dang. And I do like that in Dan's Ponderosa. He was like, I'm the hero. I can only be the hero. And I was like, dude, did you not hear yourself talking to Angelina? But that's beside the point.
Neither here nor there. But,
but I don't have a problem with that. It's just, not all heroes talk nicely. I was going to say, I was going to say what it is, but talk nicely.
It's like how Angelina said, clear eyes, full hearts, and I was like, can't lose. She didn't say it. I had something to say, and I'm forgetting. Oh, you mentioned earlier, you were like, tonight we lost a super likable dude and a villain. And 2 months ago, would you have ever guessed the super likable dude was going to be Alec and the villain was going to be Carl? No. You totally would have thought it would be the other way. It's been awesome.
After Jessica got voted out, Carl's crying, Alex being smug, I'm thinking, okay, like whatever. Alex going to be a dick, and Carl's going to be, the lovable guy.
You're loose tonight, Phil.
Come on, is dick a bad word? I think they can say that on TV, can't they?
What was the? Well, now I'm just like saying the word dick to say it. In Heroes, Heroes, Hustlers, we had a conversation with Vaughn about that word that happened for like 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Mike was a penis director.
That's true. That's true. Exactly. Wow, Alexa, we're trying to talk about the
God.
All right.
Anyways,
what else do we have? Because I'm like I said, I'm done with my notes, but I've been done with my notes for a while. So
okay. I'm trying to think. Oh, this was a big night for prop bets. Alec talked on his way out. Nick found an idol. Alec, Allison, Kara, Christian, and Gabby all were in a challenge for more than an hour.
Yep.
Or at an hour, whatever. Those are the two big ones. And then
we definitely had some people hit 5 rewards tonight, but I'm not sure who. I have to look at the actual
people hit 5 rewards, and we had 3 people sit out of the challenge.
We had 4. Angelina set out twice, so Angelina's definitely over 3 sit-outs on the season.
Oh, true. Yes, we had Angelina sit out 3 times. Tonight is your lucky night.
Yeah, and then Allison had an episode title. Because she said the lines were blurred. Yeah, Christian and Allison both said it, so I'm giving credit to Allison here. Yeah. Davey won immunity, which is always fun. And Christian won immunity, so that's fun.
Did Alec have a confessional every episode? I bet he didn't.
No, he did not. Neither did Carl. I'm looking at that now. Alec missed episode 3, it looks like. But tonight was a big one. I'm not surprised. I'm not going to be surprised if we saw some 10s tonight because remember we say that it's just the night that it happened. So even though this might be considered episode 10 and 11 by Survivor, by our standards for the prop bet, this is just one episode. So if anybody got 10 confessionals tonight, that counts as 10 plus. And I wouldn't be surprised if a couple people were close to that. Carl had a lot tonight. Allison had a lot tonight. Christian had a lot tonight. So I would not be surprised if some people hit 10 tonight. Maybe they didn't, but definitely out of these 8 people left, especially in the finale, you're going to start seeing some 10s fly up on the board. So be happy if you got that left. Because nobody's hit 10 yet.
No. And we're getting close to people having hit 10 title councils. So we'll do the math on that later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're getting there. So go ahead.
Okay. We're at like an hour-ish. You want me to wrap it up?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. This episode was really good. There was a lot to talk about on this one. I felt like there was really no dead air, any like dead conversations. There were just so many things to cover. So if you are a $5 or up patron of the Survivor Specialist, first of all, thank you so much for donating. Well, it's not donating because we're giving you something back. Right after this, we are about to do our first ever Q&A podcast. So we posted in the Facebook group, which you only need to be a $1 patron to join, of just any questions that people have had. So we're going to answer those after this. So subscribe to be a patron. You can be a part of these in December. We're going to not do these at the end of every month. Obviously, we'll try to space them out a little bit better. But go to patreon.com/Survivor Specialist. We have 4 different tiers of patrons. We would love for you to become any and all of them. We're really enjoying it so far. We have a pretty big group of people growing, so it's been a lot of fun. We are really, really close to 4,000 subscribers on YouTube. We're at like 3,991. We need 9 more people to get a big, pretty even number. Please hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to your patron. Again, we're having a ton of fun with it. So we'll be back at some point this weekend with our episode 11, which is, I guess, what we'll call it, predictions. And
tell intern to leave us alone too. He wants to be mentioned. So. And also,
intern, we're talking about you. Hi.
I did not make the link here, so blame Alexa for not putting the Patreon link. Don't put @Phil in this. I don't need that nonsense. Get it out of my life.
Phil. Yeah.
Also, whoever our 4,000 subscriber is, you can kidnap intern because we don't want him no more.
Yeah. First of all, intern, I do this, so hi. Yeah. Also, hi, intern. You wanted to be mentioned. Hi.
Yeah. Now you've been mentioned. You don't need. Sometimes you don't want your.
I don't know what you were doing with that. Okay, before this gets weird, we're gonna log off. Everyone have a wonderful night. Subscribe to be a patron. Bye bye.